G'day everybody, it's Master Yodi. Hope you guys are all doing well. The title of today's video is a reaction video. It's a reaction video to a PUA video called The Best Looking Guy Gets Rejected. And the video was made by a PUA grifter who goes by the name of Bulldog Mindset, or in the BP and Inkwell community, we call him Blowjob Mindset. So what I'll do is I'll let the video run, pause it and give my commentary. So without further ado, let's go.
Exactly how important are looks to a woman?
Extremely important. You don't pass that looks test with a woman, game over. There'll be no chance of, if you don't pass that looks test with a woman, or if you don't meet that minimum looks threshold that woman has, there'll be no chance of intimacy between you and said woman.
All right, now I want you to watch this video that I'm about to show you and then give me your honest impression. What do you think about this video? It's pretty shocking.
I just saw the hottest man I think I've ever seen in my entire life running at 7:30 p.m. on the Strand in Manhattan Beach, and it's a good fucking thing. I didn't say anything to him because I think I would have had to cover my eyes if I had to talk to him. To be honest, I don't even think I would date this man because he was so good looking.
Bullshit, lady. If this guy was as good looking as what you describe, as how you're describing him, you drop your panties in an instant. Oh, geez, women come out with some nonsense. They really do.
That it would be a liability. Like, who wouldn't be after? I don't want to deal with that. But there's no way he wasn't famous for looking like that. So I'm going to describe him to you. TikTok, if you want to do your thing. Perfect body, tan, blue eyes, dark brown, longish, not long hair. He had a mustache, but not in a porn stash way. In the like ugly hot way, but not ugly at all. So anyways, if anyone knows social media, he's got to be like a fitness something, athlete something. No one has single digit body fat like that for no reason. Help. I'm like giggling talking about it. Just gonna go back to singing I Can't Relate like a lioness bit.
Now give me your honest opinion. What did you think of this video? How much do you think that looks matter to a woman after seeing this? Now she didn't.
Obviously a lot. Look at the way she's going on about the guy. I mean, if the guy was short, bald, or ugly, or whatever, she would have made a TikTok video about it. So, asking if looks matter to women is like asking, well, is the Pope Catholic? Does a bear shit in the woods? Does a whale shit in the ocean? I mean, of course they matter. They're critically important, but typical PUA scammers, they have to downplay the importance of looks because, as we all know, you can't make money out of telling the truth.
Talks to this guy. She only saw this guy. She knows nothing about him, only what he looks like. And clearly she's pretty obsessed with this guy. She even said that she's not even sure she would date him because it would be a liability because so many women would be after him. She's assuming he must be famous because of how he looks or an athlete. So she is clearly infatuated, almost borderline obsessed with this guy enough that she made a TikTok about it trying to find this guy. Now, what's interesting about this is that I found the follow-up video on this, and I think it's going to surprise you quite a bit here.
I have good news and I have bad news. So I went back earlier this week and Strandman was there. He actually came up to my friend and me and said hi. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, a little bit of airport effect was happening when I first saw him. Don't get me wrong, he was attractive, but most gorgeous man I've ever seen in my life, like Stephen Kelly hot, no. So we talked and he seemed kind of cool and I was like, I have to go out with Strandman, I can't not after all of this, So we went out last night and that's where the good news ends. He's a personal trainer, by the way, so that makes sense, but he's not famous, thank God. I don't know how to put this other than I have a feeling this guy loved the Harrison Butker speech. I think part of why it took me so long to find Strandman is he doesn't have TikTok, or so he says. I feel like 99% of people who tell me they don't have TikTok just lurk on TikTok. Anyway, the words "women aren't funny" actually came out of his mouth as a complete sentence, so RIP that love story. But if you think I'm done dragging this, you're wrong because we can't let it end this way and my DMs are fire now. So whoever wants to replace Strandman, it's your turn because that's how we're going to continue the series. People who should have been Strandman. Love you, bye.
Okay. Now, if you're honest with yourself, that probably came as a surprise to you. It did come as a surprise to me as well, even though what I'm about to tell you is something that I've been preaching for a long time. If you look at what happened here, right? She went from obsessed with this guy based on his physical appearance, so obviously this guy is hot, to making some statements saying, well, maybe he's not the hottest guy I've ever seen. She went on a date with him. She didn't want to have anything else to do with him, right? I mean, here she is sitting down with the hottest guy that she's ever seen, this guy that she was obsessed with. So what happened? Well, he said that women weren't funny.
Okay. So you're telling me that this well, she's obviously a very attractive lady. She's pretty hot, actually, out of my league. But so you're telling me this very attractive woman rejected this Chad that she met just because he said that women weren't funny? Give me a break. Let me tell you what really happened. This young lady, I think I know, she hooked up with this guy. They got intimate. I'm not gonna cuss because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. But this lady got intimate with this guy. Probably slept with him. This Chad, just like this woman, obviously he's got a ton of options. He didn't want to commit to this woman. Now this woman is angry and pissed off, so she makes some childish TikTok video complaining that this guy said that women weren't funny. Like, give me a break. Come on, that's now you're just insulting my intelligence or anybody with two brain cells to rub together. A woman's not going to reject a guy just because he said something she didn't like. And if it's a Chad, she's going to give him more leeway because he's a Chad. So no, I'm not buying this. This is what happened, guys. They hooked up. Chad didn't want to commit to her, and now she's angry. And she's made up this cock and bull story that he said that the women weren't funny. Give me a break.
Well, as you'll see, I would not ever use that phrase on a date, apparently. I'm going to show you another video in a second here. But here's the thing to understand about this, guys. All right. And I've been saying this for a long time. All right. Is that, yes, if you are an attractive man, all right, then women will initially, they will give you the time of day. They will be maybe even obsessed with you.
Well, that's right. I mean, just to get an audition with a woman, you've got to pass that looks test. I mean, you could have the best social and conversational skills in the world, but that's going to mean nothing if she wanted to give you a chance. I mean, take me for example, and I know I've mentioned this in many of my previous videos. I get rejected before I even open my mouth. So I don't even get an audition. So yeah, you need looks to get that audition. Yeah. Look, as much as I'm very BP'd about the importance of looks, I will say this: even if you can attract a woman with your looks, then your behaviour does come into play. Look, okay, after you've passed that initial looks test, you've got to be able to hold a semi intelligent or decent conversation. Don't act too creepy or weird. Don't be a dickhead, and you're basically going to be you're going to be fine. So I will say I will grant blowjob this point. Yes, even if you do pass the looks test, then your behaviour kicks in. But look, most good-looking guys, they know how to behave around women. They know how to interact with them, unless he's a complete weirdo or a nutcase. Most good-looking guys, your Chads and Tyrones, they know how to talk to women and how to interact with them.
But as soon as you open your mouth, as soon as they interact with you, that's where the real judgment will begin.
No. The real judgment's when they first look at you. Women make snap judgments on men within milliseconds of seeing a particular guy. I don't know what the exact figure is. I mean, I heard somewhere it's like 13 milliseconds, give or take. They pretty much make up their mind about you. And then if they are interested in you, they'll indicate to you, usually via their body language, that they're interested. And if they really like you, they might even come to you. But usually they'll do it for their body language. They will maintain eye contact. And if you go over to them, they'll allow you to enter the woman's personal space, or the woman will come into your personal space. Female body language is not hard to read, guys. It really is. It's not rocket science.
That's why when you think that looks matter so much, you're wrong.
No, you're wrong, Bulldog. They do matter. They are critically important to your dating success or failure. If you don't pass that looks test, it's over. You're done. Forget about it. Sorry, but of course, Bulldog being the PUA scammer grifter that he is, he's to downplay the importance of looks. Well, all the PUAs do. Or what's the other tactic they use? I say, oh, your looks do matter, but not as much as you think. No, they do matter. They're critically important to women. Don't pass the looks test, game over. I know it's a very black and white way of looking at male-female intimate relationships, But when you observe how women behave in the company of a genetically superior man, as opposed to a not so genetically superior man, then I'm sorry, it is about looks. It really is about looks. The only exception to that is say, for example, you are a physically unattractive man, but you have a lot of fame and status. Yes, that could get you in with the ladies. I mean, look at some of these musicians and actors and stuff like that. They're not particularly attractive men, no homo here, but they're popular women because of their status. Take, for example, Gene Simmons. I like to use him, the bass player from Kiss. No homo here, not a very good-looking guy, but it's been reported he slept with up to 4,000 women. Probably most of them would have been female groupies attending Kiss concerts because of his status. Many years ago, I was reading this magazine, and Jack Nicholson, the American actor, and at the time he would have been well in his 50s, possibly 60s. He was making out with a hot 19-year-old outside a members-only nightclub in London. Now, look, let's face it, Jack Nicholson's not a particularly good-looking guy. Why would he be making out with a 19-year-old? Because of status. I mean, this young lady saw him, knew who he was, and slept with him, and probably sold the story to the paparazzi. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue.
Looks will get you in the door. It is true. She did look for Strandman, but she did find him. And when she did find him, she found out that he was not the, quote, Chad that she thought that he was.
Well, first of all, her story just doesn't it just doesn't pass the smell test. So you're telling me that this woman rejected this Chad or Giga Chad just because he said that women weren't funny? Nah, BS. Once again, they hooked up. Chad didn't want to commit to her, and she's lashing out by making that TikTok video.
Even though, I mean, this guy's still got single-digit body fat. He still is 6 feet tall. He still has a face like a model, apparently. But she doesn't see him as attractive anymore. And why? The reason why is because now that she's actually met him, she has evaluated him and she's found that he is not as attractive, right? Her brain actually went and backwards justified her new assessment of him to actually visually not see him as attractive anymore. So if you think that looks is the thing that matters to most women, you're absolutely wrong. This is
No, Bulldog. You're absolutely wrong. Looks is of critical importance to women. And I wanted to spill another myth here. I did make a video about this about a week or so ago. And one of the biggest lies that the PUAs push out is that men are the more visual gender. No. Women are the more visual gender by a country mile. Yes, some men can be very visual. I won't deny that. But overall, men will date down. And men look for other qualities in women. Yeah, obviously, we do value their looks, their beauty. Yeah, of course, no one's denying that. But men are flexible. They'll date down or at their level, but not women. No, women only date up. Even if a woman's not particularly attractive herself, she wants the chads. Whether she'll get the chad, or she'll probably get the chad for hookups, not for a committed relationship. The chad won't commit to these average to below average looking women. But no, these women will get the they'll get the Chad. But just because going back to what I was saying before, no, it's actually women who are the more visual gender by a country mile. And look at the wide range of body sizes and shapes that men like. Men have a wide variety of female body size types. Some men prefer a more athletic woman. Some men like BBW women, big chubby women or fat women or curvy women. And as long as a woman's fairly attractive, and men aren't really fussed on the race of a woman. As long as she's attractive, they'll sleep with her. We're not fussy. Us men aren't fussy. And also, too, you have to take into account that us men, we have much more testosterone than women. We have a much more powerful sex drive. So men will drop their standards if a guy's horny and he needs to have sex. Even a Chad will have sex with an average or below average looking woman if they're the only woman available. Whereas a woman, if there's no attractive men around, she'll abstain from sex and bedroom fun. So no, it's actually women who are the more visual gender, and for good scientific reasons as well. as we all know, when a woman sees a guy, she says to herself, "Well, look, if by the off chance I've offspring with this particular man, I want to pass on the best genetics, so I can have beautiful babies that are going to survive." And that's simply not going to happen with an unattractive man. So there's also a valid scientific reason why women are more visual. I mean, of course, they're going to carry the baby for 9 months, and they want to ensure that baby is born with good genes, that baby's attractive, and it can survive and replicate. So no, it's actually women who are the more visual gender, not men. So no, Bulldog, you got that completely wrong. Looks, you as a man, your looks are critically important to your dating success or failure. The reason why I had no luck with women, I've never been married, never had a girlfriend. I mean, obviously I've tried to approach women. It's because of my looks. Because of my looks. I'm not angry with women. They're just at the end of the day, they're just acting on their biology. They want the best possible genetics for any offspring they may have. It's definitely going to happen with a sub-3, subhuman looking guy like me. But, I don't hate women. I still love and respect women, but in the day they got to they're just acting on their biology. But no, Bulldog, your looks as a man are critically important to your dating success or failure. Critically important. But of course, you being a PUA grifter, you're going to downplay the importance of looks because you want to sell courses and boot camps. Anyway.
This kind of smoking gun evidence that shows you that this is not the case, because
no, it's not smoking gun evidence. You're going on a cock and bull story made up by a woman who did actually sleep with the Chad, but once again, Chad didn't want to commit to her, so she's angry and she goes on TikTok and makes a stupid, childish video, falsely claiming that she rejected this guy just because he said women weren't funny. No, I'm not buying that story at all. It simply doesn't pass the smell test. They hooked up. Chad didn't want to commit to her, and she's pissed off. That's the real story.
Believe me, you would think, and most guys would think, that if a woman thought that you were the most attractive guy she'd ever seen in her life, would you think that you're going to get laid? Probably.
Definitely. Captain Obvious. Another breaking news, scientists have discovered that water is wet and fire is hot. Yeah, that's how male-female intimate relationships work. As a man, and this is the view that we all share in the BP community, in order to get genuine sexual, physical attraction for a woman, she has to find you physically attractive. I'm sorry, there's just no other way around it. So if a woman does find you physically attractive, yeah, she'll want to get laid with you. That's just Captain Obvious.
Would you think that she would want to date you more than one time? Probably, right? Would you think that there's very little that you could do to screw it up? I mean, you could probably be an asshole. You could probably be rude. You could probably do whatever, but it doesn't matter because you're Chad.
Well, it's amazing what Chad could get away with. It obviously comes back to the halo effect. And for those who don't know what the halo effect is, it's a perceived bias or perceived positive bias towards people who are good looking. When someone sees an attractive person, they by default assume they're a good person, they've got a good sense of humor. It's not always the case. I mean, you can be a good looking person and be a complete arsehole. But humans are very visual creatures, and with the halo effect, yeah, it's basically just a perceived positive bias with attractive people. You assume that because they're good looking, everything else is good about them. That's not always the case. But anyway.
Sorry, Chad. It's not going to work that way. You can have all the looks in the world, but if you don't have game, if you cannot talk to a woman, if you don't have
game doesn't exist, Bulldog. It simply doesn't exist. Look, the only way a good-looking guy could stuff it up, and this could potentially happen, if a good-looking guy, say, he attracts someone with his looks and he starts acting like a creep and a weirdo, yes, then he could repel a woman. I'll give you a classic example. In the 1970s, there was this very, very evil, horrible man called Rodney Carla. I think he was a serial killer. I think they found 5 of his victims. Yeah, horrible, evil man. Very evil, wicked man. And yeah, he took the lives of 5 innocent women. And yeah, terrible, shocking, absolutely shocking. And what made this guy, well, I'm not going to say famous, infamous. he appeared on one of those dating shows, and was one of those dating shows where you had 3 guys. There was a divide. There was a petition or a wall, and there was a lady, and the lady would ask these guys questions. Now, when the lady was speaking with Rodney Akala, he was just really weird. The way he talked was just creepy. Like, I mean, he didn't look creepy. I mean, no homo, he was a pretty good looking dude, but the way he spoke, he was just creepy. Fortunately, the woman that was talking to him, her tuition kicked in. She sensed there's something wrong with this guy, and didn't go on a date with him, which probably ended up saving her life, because she potentially could have been one of his victims, and thankfully she wasn't. Thank God. Yeah. So in that instance, if you're a good-looking dude and you start acting like real creepy and weird, you could repel a woman. But generally speaking, most good-looking guys don't act like that. They don't act with women. Anyway.
Have confidence. If you cannot entertain a woman, if you're not be humorous, if she doesn't buy into your masculine frame and see you as a sexually attractive man beyond your physical appearance, it's over for you. It's game over. Now,
no, it's not over. Yeah, as I said before, the only way a good-looking guy can stuff up an interaction with a woman if he starts acting creepy. But most good-looking guys don't act that way, unless he's got some severe mental issue, or he's an evil bastard. Unless he's a serial killer or something. But most good-looking guys are your Chads and Tyrones. They know how to talk to and interact with women. It's the ugly guys that's over for. Like guys like me, for example. Like my dating life is definitely over, but it doesn't matter because I quit on dating. When did I quit? 13 years ago. Yeah.
if you don't believe me about this, let me show you one more. I thought this was pretty funny.
It's a true story. One day I walked into my job and there was a security guard sitting at the front desk and he looked like this. I'm not kidding though. He looked like this. I had forgotten my key card that day and he looks at me and he goes, "Did you forget your key card?" But he said it in like a southern drawl, like the way Bradley Cooper says, like, "I just want to take another look at you." He was like, "Did you forget your key card?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm fucked mentally right now, actually, because of how you look." I get into work, I run up to my manager, I go, "There's a security guard that I have never seen in my 4 years working here who looks like Charlie Hunnam." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Is this not news in the building?" I'm like, "Go stare at him, find out what his name says on his name tag so I can fucking stalk this guy." She goes and looks at him, she comes back and finds me at my bar and she's like, "Okay, I saw him. His name is Matt. Look him up on like Workplace." Like, you know, your little like, it's like, okay, tomorrow when I come into work, I'm gonna be looking fucking stunning, whatever. Come into work, he's not there. He's not there for another like month and a half. Like, I don't see him. I mean, I work at a stadium in a ships passing in the wind situation. Anyway, whatever. I'm like, okay, I guess he doesn't work here anymore. One day my manager comes up to me and he's like, "Did you see Matt at the staff entrance?" I was a cartoon character. I was like, down there, I'm in my fucking uniform, name tag, like collared shirt, loser. And I'm like, "Hi." He's like, "Hi, like, do I know you?" "Of course you don't know me. I'm obsessed with you from our one interaction. I am one of several women that work here." So I chat with him a bit and he's like, "Why are we having this conversation?" Probably. And then I walk away and then I'm like, I'm going to message him on Workplace. And I don't know what I said. It was something like, "We should grab a drink," like whatever, just fuck boy behavior on my part. He never responds. He actually still hasn't responded. It's been 6 years. But this, I see him at work one day and now I'm embarrassed because he hasn't responded to my Workplace message, which is already fucking pathetic of me. Go to a bar that night. He's the fucking security guard at the bar. So now I say to my friends, I'm like, "That's the guy. Look at him." Let me remind you, this was him. It might as well have been him. It might have been him. Friends are like, "What the fuck?" But then one of my friends goes, "Is he cross-eyed?" And I'm like, "No, he's not cross-eyed." And she's like, "Something's going on with his eyes." Go up to him and I strike up a conversation. I'm like, "I work with you at the stadium and I sent you a message on Workplace and you never responded." He's like, "Workplace? Who the fuck messages people? I don't check Workplace. I don't have that on my phone." I'm like, "Well, I asked you if you wanted to get drinks." And he was like, "Oh, okay." I'm talking to him. I am noticing something going on with his eyes, but I'm like, what the Sorry. It's so funny when I get to the punchline. We chat for a little bit and now I have more confidence because I'm like, okay, now you've seen me like sexy out at a bar. I say sexy. I have no clue how I looked that night, actually. Probably wearing a circle skirt from American Apparel. But I came through the staff entrance to work a couple days after that and he hadn't messaged me back on Workplace. So I was like, fuck this guy. Like, I told you I messaged you on Workplace. Fucking download it. Do you want to get laid or not, buddy? Guess is when you look like this isn't a problem for you. But wait, walking in through work and he starts chatting with me and I'm like, "Hey, how was your weekend? Good, you?" And I'm looking at his eye. I've never seen this before, okay? And I'm sorry if you have this. I've never seen it. Okay, see how you can see the white above and below my eyes? His eyes were like that, but normal. Like, what I'm saying is his iris was so small that they looked weird. Like, his eyes were a normal size, but his irises and pupils were really small. Like, the whites were available for my looking pleasure. And I was like, holy fuck, what's going on with that? Anyway, I tell my mom, security guard, she's like, first of all, don't date security guards because they have inferiority complexes. Okay, that's just my mom's opinion. Not all security guards, not all men. Secondly, if you can see the whites above and below an eye, that's psycho. That's a psychopath. I'm like, you're being ridiculous and I'm being shallow. Like, what, am I actually not gonna rail this guy that looks like Jack because he has small irises? Like, what's wrong with me? The more I saw him at work, the more it really bugged me. I was like, this is actually crazy. Like, if we're having sex, you don't know where he's looking, by the way. Like, his eyes, I just can't even explaining it to my roommate one day. And I'm like, am I so shallow? Like, I feel like this eye thing might be a deal breaker for me. Like, it's crazy. They're so small. She's like, show me. So I go on his Facebook. Guess what? We didn't even get to looking at his eyes because he was in so many incel Facebook group. And
Now, that doesn't pass the smell test. Why would this guy, a good-looking guy, I mean, he's probably a Chad light, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, women are the ultimate judges of male attractiveness, not other men. Why would a guy like that be participating on an inkwell board or incel board? That doesn't make any sense. Guys like that wouldn't need to because they're getting laid. No, that doesn't pass the smell test with me. That's bullshit. No, good-looking guys wouldn't need to post on inkwell boards. Nah, sorry.
active commenter. Actually had a comment that was like, women are not funny. Fuck. If you're in the dating scene right now, look out for a few things. These are some red flags I noticed. 1, little eye. 2, maybe security guards. I don't know. Maybe my mom was right. I'm kidding. All the security guards at my work now are very. 3, something weird about an active user commenting on anything, especially an incel. An incel was obvious, but I thought it was even more kind of cringe.
How can that doesn't? That's ridiculous. Why would a good-looking guy be posting on an incel board? No, that's rubbish. That's rubbish. Usually, the guys who post on inkwell boards are guys like me. You know, your sub 3s and your sub 4s. I mean, no, this lady's not making any sense. I think the deal with this lady is she sent him a message. The guy's rejected her, and she's pissed off, and she's lashing out, making this video, accusing this guy of being an inkwell. No, I just think this lady just pissed off that Chad rejected her, and she's making up this cock and bull story that he's an inkwell, which is ridiculous. Inkwells don't post on. Sorry, not inkwells. Sorry, Chads and Tyrones and what have, or any type of good-looking guy. They're not going to be wasting their time posting on inkwell board because they're out getting laid. I admit I used to post on inkwell boards, and I still do to a certain degree, but that's because I'm an inkwell, and I do get laid, but I have to pay to play.
That he was an active incel. Like, to have incel ideologies is one. Commenting with your real name, it's like, you don't give a fuck. Even if it wasn't incel, even if it was like bodybuilding group, or like, why was that the example? Like, a sort of negative comment. Like, if he was commenting on a random girl's photos like ugly, I'd be like, you're fucking crazy. What the hell was the point of this story? I don't know. Did it help you? Or judge a book by its cover, because that cover might be hiding an incel with little eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I rest my case here, but amazing.
No, you haven't rested your case. Once again, it's another cock and bull story from a woman. I'm sorry, there's something about that woman's story that doesn't make that. Excuse me, that just doesn't make any logical sense. Excuse me, sorry guys. Why would a good-looking guy be posting on an inkwell board? No, that makes no sense at all. As I said before, I think the real story with this woman is that she sent a message to this Chad. Chad rejected her. Well, he didn't even reply to her message. He just rejected her, and she's pissed off about it. And she's just like with the previous lady, she's making a very childish video, complaining that Chad rejected her, and by claiming that he's an inkwell, and he posts on inkwell boards. No, this makes no sense at all.
So just a couple of observations here, right? Just to understand here. And again, I use 2 examples here. I mean, I just happen to find both these examples on the same day within 20 minutes. So I bet I could find 100 examples of this on TikTok if I kept.
Oh, TikTok. I think the best definition of TikTok is it's a place where intelligence goes to die. Yeah, you kind of if you want to destroy your brain cells, just go on TikTok, because like I said before, It's the place where intelligence goes to die. But one thing I will say about TikTok, though, there's some really smoking hot women. If you want to find some really beautiful, if you want to check out some really beautiful women, go on TikTok. Oh, there's some real stunners on there. But seriously, though, with TikTok, I mean, it's just mainly women complaining about men. But I think the reality is when women go on TikTok to complain about men, what they're basically saying is that they've had a hookup with a Chad. Chad doesn't want to commit to them, so these women go on TikTok and say, "All men are bastards, all men are pigs." No, 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 not all men are bastards. No, there are good, decent men out there, but you're not attracted to them. You're only attracted to that top 5 to 10% of guys in terms of looks. And just like you ladies, these men have options, right? And you know, because these Chads and Tyrones don't commit to you, you then go on TikTok and make up cock and bull stories about them. So the story that the previous lady just said then about how this this Chad is posting on incel boards is just it's ridiculous. It's nonsensical. It makes no sense.
Looking. A couple of notes here. I mean, one of them, the most obvious one is, like I said before, don't ever tell a woman that women aren't funny. Apparently that will move you right to the rejection zone.
Look, I can sort of understand why some guys would make that comment. I think when guys say women aren't funny, they're probably referring to female comedians, because there are some female comedians who aren't funny. But then again, there's probably some male comedians who aren't funny as well. So that's what guys mean when they say that. But a woman wouldn't reject you because just for that reason. No, sorry, that makes no sense at all.
Immediately. So I didn't know that one myself, but just if you don't think women are funny, keep it to yourself, apparently. All right. Now, second of all, here's again another woman who's obsessed with a guy based on his looks, right? She looks at the guy, little to her knowledge, she didn't actually realize he was an incel. She thought he was.
No, that makes no sense at all. Good-looking guys are rarely incel, unless he's got some severe mental problem. But no, not buying that.
Super hot, right? Obviously, this guy doesn't think he's super hot, or there's something wrong with him. There's some reason why he's not getting laid, because he was in an incel group. I mean, I would suggest also that when women use the term incel, it's the entire manosphere. I think that's what they mean. So he might not have actually been in an incel group. He might have been in one of the other groups. The outside world thinks you're an incel. So just take that for what it's worth, right? Just so you have this knowledge. I'm not saying that you are, but you realize that this is how people view, right? So she's obsessed with this guy. Okay, so much so she hasn't talked to him. She just looked at him. She's stalking him for weeks. Right? She's trying to figure out information about him. She messages him on Workplace. She goes to a bar. She sees him. She starts talking to him. You would imagine this guy's going to get laid, right? I mean, there's no way that he can screw this up. Okay, this woman is obsessed with him, right? He's the hottest guy that she's ever seen. However, amazingly, how quickly that changes. One small disqualification is all that it takes, his eyeballs. Now, it probably was more than his eyeballs, right? It probably had to do with when she actually had interaction with him and talked with him, that her level of attraction to him diminished because...
This is bullshit. Look, once again, the real story is with the second woman. She sent the Chad guy a message. He rejected her, and she's pissed off, and she's making up this cock and bull story that he's an incel and he posts on Inkwell boards. No, sorry, I'm not buying it. That no. I mean, it's just ridiculous how Bulldog Mindset, he just takes his stories at face value. I mean, with both the two women that have appeared on this video, you can poke so many holes in their story. They don't make any sense. They make no logical sense at all.
He didn't exhibit the traits women find attractive. It also goes to show you, in order for a woman to be attracted to you, it requires a pretty high bar. For her to be not attracted to you requires any small defect can disqualify you. So
the only defect that's going to disqualify you from a woman's your looks. It's amazing what good-looking guys can get away with women. Obviously, there's if a good-looking guy acts too creepy or weird, that he could repel a woman. But once again, most good-looking guys, they know how to interact with women, and they can get away with a lot more than say an unattractive guy. Anyway.
This is something that you really need to understand as a man, is that it doesn't matter if you have all the things going for you. If you have one thing that disqualifies you, you could be out of the running. You could be giving a woman the ick, just like that. They will suddenly not see a man as hot.
Yeah, the only really major thing that gives women the ick is your lack of good looks. That's what gives women the ick. Lack of looks.
Anymore once they meet him if he doesn't measure up. If you're online and you're posting crap about women, if you're posting complaints, whining, whatever it is, commenting on women's photos, nasty stuff, or on real, I see guys all the time on my Instagram commenting trash comments, especially on the podcast I do with my wife. They're commenting nasty stuff about women. Wow. You're just like, you could be the hottest guy in the world and you do that and you're done. No woman is going to want to have anything to do with you. You're suddenly not attractive anymore, right? It doesn't matter what you look like, right? If you want a good example of this, who's that comedian on TikTok, Matt Rife? He was like the hottest, super hot guy, right? Like all these women were obsessed with him. Then he said some really negative stuff about women. Boom. No one cares about him anymore. Women hate him now. What I want you to take away from this video is that looks do not matter.
Wrong. No, Bulldog. They do matter. They're once again, they're critically important to your dating success or failure as a man. I'm sorry, that just is. It just is. That's just the way it is. It's a very black and white way of looking at male-female intimate relationships. But once again, when you observe the behavior or body language of a woman in the company of a genetically superior man, as opposed to a not so genetically superior man, it sticks out like dog's balls. That it is about looks. I'm sorry, it is. Looks is the first thing a woman sees, and if she doesn't like what she sees, there'll be no chance of intimacy between you and said woman. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it goes. But of course, the scam PUA industry will downplay the importance of looks because you can't make money out of telling the truth.
I'm not saying that they don't matter at all, but what I'm saying is that, in fact, maybe this is a better statement. You could be the hottest guy that a woman has ever seen, and that does not matter. Because if she meets you, if she talks to you, if she evaluates you, if there's one small disqualification that she does not like about you, you're out. It doesn't matter. So don't prioritize focusing on looks. Yes, you should improve your looks as much as you can, okay, just to be in the running. But
well, there you go. You see, he's just contradicted himself. He's on one hand, he's downplayed the importance of looks, but then he's told men to looks max. We in the BP community tell men to looks max. I think one very unfair criticism of the BP is that we just tell guys to give up and just no. That's not the BP at all. In the BP, we tell men, yes, try and self-improve as much as you humanly can, and try and looks max. But that doesn't work. Well, then you might have to look at giving up, because if you just keep getting rejected by women all the time, regardless of how well you're presenting yourself, it's going to do some serious damage to your mental health, and you really don't want to do that, guys. I mean, in addition to your physical health, you've also got to maintain your mental health. And getting constantly rejected by women, it's not going to do your mental health any favors. It's not going to do your mental health any favors at all. But no, we in the BP community, we do encourage men to looks max, but just temper your expectations. You're not going to necessarily land the hot 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10 looking Stacey. You might have to settle for an average girl. But even with looks maxing, there's no guarantee that's going to work, because for looks maxing to work, you need a base to start with. I tried to looks max and I got into great shape, but unfortunately, it took me from a 1 out of 10 to barely a 3 or a 4. Unfortunately, that doesn't cut it with a modern woman these days. But that's my life. Sorry, that's my tough luck. Improve your looks as much as as much as you can. You got to do that. Yeah. So he Bulldog's contradicted himself. He's downplayed the importance of looks, but then he's encouraged men to looks max to be in the running. He actually quoted a tenant of the BP.
when I tell you that looks are not the most important thing, believe me, it's not just...
No. We're not going to believe you, because looks is the most important thing. Yes, obviously, your social skills and behavior come after that. Of course, I'm not dismissing that, but you have to pass that looks test first. Then other factors come into play: your behaviour, your social skills, your conversational skills, your ability to correctly interpret female body language, which is something you haven't talked about, Bulldog. This is one thing. This is probably one of my main pet peeves or annoyances with these PUA scammers and dating coaches. They don't discuss the topic of female body language and how to read it and interpret it correctly.
Me saying it, it's not just women saying it. It's actual proof. When you see that, I can understand why guys.
No, there's no proof. You're going off two cock and bull stories from two women who are obviously lying. The first woman, she hooked up with the Chad. Chad didn't want to commit to her. She goes on TikTok and says, "Oh no, I rejected him because he said women weren't funny." Come on, give me a break. That's just insulting my intelligence. The second woman, she sent a message to Chad. Chad rejected her or ignored her, and she makes up this she fabricates a story or makes a cock and bull story that he's an inkwell and he posts on inkwell boards. Come on, give me a break. Give me a break.
I think the opposite of this, because if you watch that first video only, or you watch the first part of that second or third video or that I showed you, you would think that women are obsessed about a guy just based on how he looks. And it
Well, they are. Look at Jerry Meeks, for example. Just prior to him being released from prison, and after they released his mugshot, when his mugshot went viral, women were simping for him. They were writing to him. I believe that some women actually sent money to him. And look what happens when he gets released from jail. He lands a multi-million-dollar modeling contract, which will probably see up for the rest of his life, just because of his looks. So women are obsessed with the man's looks. Oh, you bet, you bet. I'll give you an example. In 1987, I saw the US rock band Bon Jovi here in Sydney. I kid you not, of the capacity, I think what did the old Sydney Entertainment Centre hold? I think about 12, maybe 13,000 people. Most of it was women, because they found I'm not gay. I don't look at men, but from a woman's point of view, women considered John Bon Jovi an attractive guy, and most of the people at that concert were young women obsessed with him. Yeah, so no, women will obsess over a man's looks. Oh, you bet. They'll go crazy, absolutely crazy. And I've seen it happen in real life. I mean, sorry, I hate to bring this up again, but my Chad friend, not just on that cruise, in other social situations that I observed him in, women were swarming over him. Oh, you bet. Yeah. If a woman really likes the look of a guy, yeah, they'll go up, they'll chase him. Yeah, and I'll make it known that she's attracted to the guy.
is true. They started off that way. But once they meet the guy and once they talk to him, their evaluation criteria changes drastically. And the brain will automatically change their hotness into ugliness if they don't match up. I've been preaching this for a long time. I can't give you a better evidence of this. I mean, this is not even set up.
No, it's not evidence. You're going off to women who, I think are bullshitting. I think they're lying. They're straight out lying. Once again, the first woman hooked up with Chad. Chad didn't want to commit to her. She makes a cock and bull. She goes on TikTok and says, "Oh, I rejected him because he said women were not funny." Second woman, send a message to the Chad. Chad ignored her or rejected her, and she makes up this story that he's an inkwell. No, sorry, those stories are just too. They're just too unbelievable. They're just too unbelievable, and they're not evidence. No, very, very, very weak evidence.
Up, right? It's not even like these women were trying to prove a point. Like they're trying to show you that looks don't matter. To some degree, they think looks matter.
Of course they do. Look at the way they were talking about those guys. Those, you know, when you see women get interviewed in the street, look, someone will be honest. Some will say yes, looks is important. Obviously, other women will excuse me, will virtue signal and bullshit. Say, oh no, it's about your personality and confidence. Yeah, bullshit. when it comes to women, look, if you really want to work women out, never listen to the words. Watch what they do. And I think you'll find that throughout the manosphere. If there's one thing that all us men in the manosphere agree upon, and that is never listen to a woman's words, observe her actions. Because unfortunately with women, and I'm not saying this in a misogynistic, hateful manner, what they say as opposed to what they do tend to be mutually exclusive. And it's just the way it is. Women will say one thing, but we'll do the complete opposite. And once again, I'm not saying that in a hateful manner. I'm just basing this on observable reality.
Right? They might not even realize what's actually happening psychologically here, right? They might think, oh, well, obviously, if a woman says this is the hottest guy I've ever seen and she's obsessed with him, she thinks that looks matter to her. She might even think that, but it's not true. It is not the thing. Women don't even understand what is it actually that attracts them to a man.
Yes, they do. His height, his race. I think we all know about the importance of race. Whether he's got a full head of hair, his jaw structure, his face, how attractive his face is. Is he in shape or not? Most attraction is really above. If you think about it, excuse me, sorry. Most attraction it's above the neck. It's above the neck. Obviously, height's important too. But no. Women are very visual creatures. They're extremely visual creatures. They might not admit it, but they are. When you observe how they actually behave, as opposed to what they say, looks is the most number one important thing to women, and women are the more visual gender. I'm sorry, they are. You see the way they are.
They think that it's looks, but it's not. They get this impression of a guy, right? And what they believe about the guy, that is what matters. I hate to break it to you guys. You don't have an excuse anymore, right?
I could cuss out Bulldog here, but I'm going to bite my tongue very hard. I find that comment very offensive, actually, extremely offensive. He's basically blaming us guys, particularly us physically unattractive guys, for something that's not our fault, and for the most part, completely out of our control. There's not much I can do when women reject me even before I open my mouth. And there's also been situations. Actually, I'll make a video about this. I'll call it my dating in the dark moments, where I've interacted with a woman over the phone, and I was really about forming a connection. Like I was, the woman liked the sound of my voice. She engaged in conversation with me, and she appeared to be interested until she met me in person. And she does a full 180 on me because she saw what I look like. So I know how to talk and converse with women. I know how to converse with any human being. So I know how to talk to women. And as I said before, I've had some great conversations with them over the phone. As soon as they saw me in person, I didn't say I'd do anything differently. They did a full 180 on me. So yeah. So no, you got to pass that. Look, once again, you got to pass the looks test first.
And I think the reason why a lot of guys gravitate towards this idea that looks are so important, or that looks matter so much, is because it's a thing that you don't have. And so you're like, okay, well, if I don't have it and I can't get it, it's outside of my control, then it's not my fault.
That's right. It's not your fault. How's a physically unattractive man, someone like me, for example, to be blamed for that? Sure, you can try and look smacks, but that only has a ceiling for certain guys. Look, if you're say an average, say slightly below average looking guy, and you do some serious looks maxing, yeah, you can knock yourself up a few points. I think the classic case is the BP content creator called Ascended. He's a gentleman from the US. You should check out his channel. Actually, he goes by the name of Ascended, and he really has ascended. Before he was overweight. He was going bald. He engaged in both hard and soft looks maxing. The hard looks maxing was he got a successful hair transplant. The soft looks maxing was that he went to the gym, lost the weight. Now you couldn't recognise the guy. He's gone from say an average guy or slightly below average looking guy to a Chad, and now he's killing it with women. So yeah, with me it didn't work because I had no base to work with them. And when I was overweight, I was a 1 out of 10 on the look scale. When I got in the shape, I probably knocked myself up maybe 2, maybe 3 points. But guess what, guys? Being a 3 or 4 out of 10, even a 4 out of 10, just doesn't cut it with a modern woman. When I lost weight and was in terrific shape, Women just saw me as an ugly dude with a good body. Whoopie-doo.
I get that. I understand that psychology. If you can own up and realize that the truth is that looks don't matter as much.
No. Looks do matter, Bulldog. Please don't. Ugh. I don't know how people fall for this stuff. I really don't. And what he, what he said before was extremely made me extremely angry. I'm not going to cuss him out because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube for using obscene language. But yeah, I was biting my tongue very hard there when he said, "Oh, you, you got no excuses now, and it's your fault." Stuff like that's very toxic. That's incredibly toxic, particularly guys. Yeah, particularly unattractive guys who have approached lots of women and been rejected, and to be told that that's not good. That's not good. That can do a lot of damage to a man's mental health. You know, I gave up on dating because I just kept getting rejected all the time, and I just in order to preserve my mental health, I said, "Nah, I'm over it." And lots of other guys are giving up on dating too. And once again, that's a personal decision each man has to make. But can you blame guys for giving up on dating? Who wants to subject themselves to a public humiliation ritual? No, screw that. No way. You know, I think I'll just stick to my pay to play. Okay, sure, I've got to pay. I've got to pay for my bedroom fund with the ladies, but tell you what, there's no BS. There's no BS. So no, Bulldog, I deeply resent your assertion and your statement that unattractive guys are at fault for their lack of luck with the ladies. That's just wrong. I'm sorry, that's very toxic. I think it's shameful that you could say something like that. And that's why us men in the BP and equal communities, that's why we hate you. You pay your PUAs and dating roaches for shaming and guilt tripping unattractive men for something that's not their fault, and for the most part is out of their control. Yeah, they can look smacks a bit, but they can make it look smacks up to a point or two, but really beyond that, there's not really much they can do. Yeah, anyway.
Much as you think that they do, and that actually being the best looking guy in the world is not going to matter. In fact, if you had a magic wand and you could make yourself the best looking guy in the world, it would not change your results very much with women.
Rubbish. Absolute garbage. If I could turn myself into a 6'4" giga shed, my results with women would improve dramatically. And like I said before, with that YouTuber Ascended, he looks maxed, and his results with women absolutely, his success rate actually exploded. Before, he couldn't pull a woman to save his life when he was overweight and losing hair. Soon he's got the hair transplant, lost the weight. His success rate with women absolutely exploded. So no, Bulldog, if you've got that wrong again.
It would change them slightly. But if you're the same guy that's getting rejected by women now and you just became better looking, it wouldn't make a difference.
Rubbish, absolute rubbish. If you're an ugly guy before and you become a good looking guy, your success rate would your success rate with women would improve dramatically. Well, what a dumb, stupid statement to make. Oh. So this is the most toxic thing about PUA and dating roaches is that they shame men, they falsely blame unattractive men for something that's their fault, and they what they like to do is they like to guilt trip you. I think Mystery had this grubby little tactic here. I think when I was reading some of Mystery stuff, he said, "Oh, as a man, if you don't learn game, your genes are going to be mercilessly weeded out of the gene pool. Look, you got no choice in that matter, game or no game. If women are going to reject you because your ugly looks, it's going to happen anyway, whether you like it or not. If women aren't picking you because they don't find you attractive, what's game going to do? The game's not going to stop that. But for Bulldog to suggest that if an ugly man becomes attractive, that his success rate with women that his results with women won't improve, that's ludicrous. That is ridiculous. if you're an unattractive man and you become physically attractive, your results with women will improve dramatically. Yeah. Once again, these PUA scammers have to downplay the importance of looks because you can't make money out of telling the truth, and telling the truth is bad for their business model.
As you can see with this example. Hey, if you want some help improving your dating life, improving your social life, and building a business, becoming more successful, developing yourself as a man, developing real masculine traits that women find attractive, click the link down below. Join us in the Bulldog.
Okay, gentlemen, that concludes my reaction video to this video about the good-looking guy getting rejected. Yeah, no, look, I mean, it's pretty obvious that those two women that appeared in the video were lying. The first one, they did hook up, got intimate, and of course Chad didn't want to commit to her. She goes on TikTok to make up some cock and bull story that, or some bullshit story that he said that women weren't funny. Nah. The second woman, she sent a message to Chad. Chad ignored her or rejected her, and she goes on, I assume TikTok, and makes up a bullshit story that he participates on inkwell boards and says bad things about women. Good-looking guys wouldn't be wasting their time on inkwell boards. They wouldn't be wasting time on PUA boards because they're getting laid. Why would they need to post on those boards? Because it doesn't. Yeah, that makes no sense at all. So sorry, both those women were bullshitting. Sorry. The stories they made absolutely no sense at all. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening to my video. If you'd like to leave your likes, comment, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. You guys have a great day. Bye for now.